So I think we almost covered some web fundamentals. Like we can also like go through, we can touch upon those a little bit, and then we can start. And I will share you the attendance form. Everybody fill it out. Fill it out and just put some message in the chat that you filled it out, so we can start. So I think before starting the class, I will like introduce myself first. I'm Deva. So I'm working as a backend engineer or developer, whatever you can say, at a startup in Bangalore. So I have more than 1.5 years experience. So that's my background. I passed out like last 2023 only. So you guys just can call me using my name itself. That's not an issue. Also, one more thing I want to tell is like let's keep this class interactive. Interactive in the sense you can ask doubt or like you can stop me wherever you want. Just let's keep it interactive so that I can know like whether you guys understand those things or not. So can anyone let me know like does anybody have knowledge about HTML or CSS? Does anyone have some idea around it or anyone worked around it? Okay.
Schema being a structure of witnesses.
Sorry?
Schema structure of witnesses, activity இருக்கணும்.
Okay. So நீங்க
CSS styles, colors, designs.
ஒர்க் பண்ணது இல்லை யாரும் அதுல ஆனா எதுவும் ஒர்க் பண்ணது இல்லையா, வெறும் ஸ்ட்ரக்சரோட ஐடியா மட்டும் இருக்கு, ரைட்? Okay, voice in the breakout. Okay. So apart from Pawan, like I think apart from one more people, one more Amelia, I guess. So apart from these, okay, I think you guys have some few ideas, I guess, around HTML, CSS, maybe. Okay. Then I think let's start. So let's first see like how the browser and like how the normal web communication works. Already Logesh have taught that, but I will just touch upon that. So for example, let's take it this as a server and this as a client. So this is a client.
Screen is not shared.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot to share it. Can I just see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the client and this is the server. Just to explain the request and response cycle. Already, I think Logesh taught you that like our request goes to the server. You can inspect it via network tab and all those things. So I will touch upon those things like on the basic part. So there are two the normal web applications which we see in the internet like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, whatever you guys use it in the web. Everything is built on top of the everything consists of a couple of things. One is client and one is the server. And server consists of the backend code. So for example, in our course we are going to learn about Node.js, right? So server basically contains Node.js. Node.js is just an just a framework to build server side HTTP server. And main work of the server is to communicate with the database and give the data to the client. So usually what happens is client will request certain things to the server, and what server does is server will communicate with the database and it will give the data to the client. That is what happening in the server side. So we are not going to dive deep in the backend part right now. So I'm just writing it as Node and Node.js and database. So what usually happens, you will raise a request to the server, and what server is server does the communication with database and gives you a response. That is what you guys would have learned in the previous class, like what Lokesh has taught. The response would have like a response code 200, 300, etc., etc. So all those things you guys should have known. So basically, this is how a normal website works. Like whatever website you take, for example, Instagram, Facebook, or any game website, everything consists of these two things. So you guys right now know the idea, like what server side contains. Server side contains server code. What server code does it? It will communicate to the database and give you some data. That's it. What client side code contains is client side code contains of three things. One is HTML, one is CSS, one is JavaScript. So these are the these are the things which client side code contains. So whatever you guys code as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, everything will be on the everything is related to the client side. So in this class, we are going to touch upon these two things: what HTML and CSS, and how it. How can we build it up and why we use it. And in next classes, in upcoming weeks, we'll go to the JS part. And after completing the JS part, we will go to the Node server side. We will go through the Node.js and database, and we will come to the front end, and we will learn some React and all. So React is nothing but just a library, which we right now we are just writing raw HTML and CSS, right? React, in while using React, we will write in a different way, little bit in a different way. That is how the modern web, the modern web in the sense, like the current web 2.0, everything is built up on the modern like React or Next or something like that, or built up on top of a framework. But to understand those principles, you guys need to know the basics, right? So before go diving into the frameworks like React or Next or Vue, we need to have the basic fundamentals. That is why we want to learn the HTML and CSS. Once you guys learn this, we can just go on using the library or frameworks, whatever. So this is what usually we are going to learn in this class: HTML and CSS basic. And what HTML and CSS, like for example, I can open some LinkedIn. So whatever you see here, like I think most of the people know what is HTML, but I'm just giving an introduction. Whatever you see as a structure, for example, a post should have a name. I mean, whatever the person's name, a post should have the some caption if it is present. A post should contain some image if it is there, and a post should have definitely these things definitely should be there, like button or comment button or repost or send. So this is I mean the structure or a body. So you can say something like that. So this is how HTML also works. So you will write HTML for the structure only. So on top of it, like this color and everything is like the CSS part. CSS is just giving some additional coloring or doing fancy things. So in real world, how can we say is like HTML is a building which you are constructing. Like initially, if you see whatever building you construct, it will be very ugly. So once you construct the building, that is the body, that is the HTML. Once you construct everything, you will you will code the paint, you will do the all the design works and all. So once you've done that, it will look little bit nicer, right? So that is the CSS part. So HTML is the core. Once you build the building, then only you will paint the building. So that is what that's when we will use CSS to to make the building look good. We will use CSS. So it will apply some colors and etc. Colors in the sense, for example, this has blue color, and these texts are in bold, and these texts are not in bold. If I hover this, some icons are coming. All these things are done in CSS. All the, I mean, the design part. For example, like if I hover this button, it is turning into a dark blue color. So right now it is light blue. So if I hover this, it is turning to dark blue. So these design part, everything is done in the CSS. HTML is just HTML is just building the structure. You think yourself as a civil engineer. You are just building a building for the website. Once you build the building, then you will go to the CSS and you will just add some beauty things, etc., etc. That is what CSS. So our, I mean, like our whatever website you see in the internet is consist of these three things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I think without JavaScript, no functionality can be added. For example, I'm clicking on this network tab. If I click on this network tab, behind, I mean, there will be some action which goes there. For example, if I click on the network tab, it redirects me to the different page. For example, initially I was where I was in the linkedin.com/feed. If I click on the network tab, it is a button actually. If I click on it, it takes me to a different page. That is the action, right? So for example, in the building example, I can say something like, if you click on a button, an elevator should come to your floor and it should pick up to a different floor. So if you are building a building, I mean, if you are constructing a building, you will have these functions, right? Like what, initially you will build the building, then you will paint it, then you will add these functionalities. That is like, if you click on a button, if elevator should come to your floor, then the elevator should pick you to the next floor, where whatever button you click inside the elevator. So that those part, wherever the actions or dynamic things happen, those part are controlled by JavaScript. We can write those conditions only using JavaScript. So for example, I mean, a real world example is these things. If I click on the network tab, it takes me to a different page. This is an action. Whatever is loading here, right? This loading part is HTML and CSS. These are HTML and CSS, but if I click on this, it taking me to a different page. That is called an action. So actions are done by JavaScript. If I click on jobs, it takes me a different page. So under every button there is an action. If you see, under every button there is an action, and every button, if I hover on them, the color is turning to dark black. Can you see it? Like, if I hover on them, it is turning on the dark black. So that is CSS. So in real world scenario, you can see where CSS is being used and where JavaScript is being used. This is one example. There are multiple examples you can take, like any website you can take. I'm just taking LinkedIn as an example. So like that, if you click on notification, it takes me to a different page. And one more action I want to show means, apart from these action, if I click on any notifications here, it will take me to the different thing. So everything under the hood, uh, like, it contains an action. If you click on this, something should happen. If you click on this, something should happen. For example, one more example I will give. For example, I'm telling you to create a login page or register page. In the register page, what you usually get? So you will get some email ID and a password, right? Once user type the email ID and password, you will have a button called login. If the user click on login, you should send the data to the backend and verify it, and you should redirect user to the different page. That is the action actually. So with HTML and CSS, we can't do that. So with HTML and CSS, what you can build is, you can keep a button, you can keep an input box, you can keep couple of input box, you can keep a button, and user can also type in the input box. But if the user clicks on the button, nothing will happen. Why? Because we don't have any action which we wrote in the JavaScript. So right now, what we can do with HTML and CSS, only static things, only the displaying part, only the coloring part, all those things only we can do with HTML and CSS. All the dynamic things and action thing we can do only when we go to the JavaScript, right? Okay. Like, anyone have any confusions around it or any doubts? Please let me know. Then there is, like, no one is going to judge you, or I'm not going to judge you. Like, just turn on your mic and ask the doubts. So this is the great opportunity to you to ask the doubts, so that you can explore in the offline. You can build something HTML or CSS web pages, and you can explore. That time you should, like that, if doubt comes, means it will be difficult for you. So you can ask me now. So I mean, in the high level, I just went through the theory. I just showed you a real-time example and went through the theory. You can ask any doubt related to this, like how these things work, or like how any doubts, any doubts, or do I want to go like teach slow or something like that? Anything you can. Anybody have some doubts? No one is going to. Like, yeah, let me know. Hello.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you can call me Deva. No issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
You said like HTML is constructing a building and CSS is like painting the building.
Yeah.
So only we can use CSS after the HTML, or
No, like for example, for example, if you are building a wall, for example, okay. Once you build the wall, then only you can paint it, right? But you, for example, there is a task for you. I gave to you, build 10 walls. Okay. I have said to you, like, build 10 walls before tomorrow. I said, what you can do is you can build all the 10 walls and then paint each wall. That is one way you can do it. Or another way you can do is you can build a wall, then paint, then build a wall, then paint, then build a wall, then paint. So there are a couple of ways. You can just parallelly do those things. You can just write HTML and you can write CSS for it. Then you can or else you can do write every HTML and then you can write CSS there. But you can't do the reverse. Think of that scenario itself. Like before building the wall, how can you paint? So this is the way. Either you can do all the HTML work and then go to the CSS work, or you can parallelly do it. But you can't do it either way. Either way, in the sense you can't do CSS first and do the HTML. So that's the thing, right? You got the point.
yeah, okay, I'm got it.
Okay. Any other doubts? That is good way of asking. Like, please ask doubts if there is anything. So this how web works, these things I'm not going to deep. There are many other things which we need to cover inside this. I think Lokesh is covering those things. That's why I'm not going deep inside it. Right now, what you need to understand is server is a separate thing. On the server side, what server the job of the server is just to communicate with the database and give you some data to the client. Client is what? Client is the front end. This is the front end. So for example, if I click on the network tab, and it is loading, right? It is loading and giving me some suggestions. These suggestions are coming from the backend. Okay, LinkedIn's backend server. It is somewhere in the US or something like that. If I click on the network tab, it is loading for a second and giving some data. So in the background, what happening is, like, if I click on the button, a request is going to the LinkedIn server, and what server does is it goes to the database and picks some profile, the suggestion profile, and what it does is it sent to the client. Client is my web browser, the Chrome which I'm using. So what our client does is it will render the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in our client side. For example, it will give the data only. It will not give this I mean, like, this beauty things and all. It will give the data, but your client will interrupt, I mean, like, construct the HTML, CSS, and it will show something like this based on the code which you written in the front end. So that is how those things works. Server part we will, like, go on in, like, upcoming classes. Right now we are just going to we are just building we are just constructing a building and just adding some CSS to it. That's it. These are the two things we are going to see, and we are going to cover the basic things in HTML, CSS, not the entire thing. Why not the entire thing? Means there are a lot of things in HTML. For example, you can HTML, you can go to this website. You can go to this website, HTML MDN. This is a great website. If you see, there are lot many things to cover in HTML. So I would say, like, see, if you drop down this, for example, HTML elements, there are lot many elements to cover, right? So you don't need to remember any of those things. That's what I would say. So like, if you are into coding or into development, you don't need to remember any of the things. You just need to understand the basics, and whenever you need anything, you just Google it and just take the example and just work on it. That's it. That's how senior level engineers also work. They don't know. If there is a senior engineer with 6 years of experience in the front end, he also don't know every HTML element. He knows the basics or mid-level things. If there is any other things he forgot, he will just Google. That is how, because I'm working in the company, I know that, and I know people. So this is how things work. You just need to have the basic fundamentals very strongly. Then whenever the requirement comes to you, you just need to able to just Google it and just understand the things and just build on top of it. So in this class, we are going to cover the some basic things on the HTML and some basic things on the CSS. What you guys will do is like you can on next Friday we have some demo day. So what you guys need to do is like you can just build a sample single page web page and just you guys can show to us like what you have built using HTML and CSS. That is what we are planning. So in this class, we will cover the basics, and you guys need to just explore these documents and whatever you want. Like you can just, for example, you can just click on any one of the things. For example, I'm clicking on the button tag. Okay. So for example, you can just come here. This is how we need to write the button, and they are giving the example in the right hand side itself, and they are giving the CSS here. But this is like complicated. You don't need to use these many things. You just focus on the HTML, and just you can just experiment it here, like what are the things like how the button will look like. So you can just copy this thing and put it in your code and just change, instead of add to favorite you can just change to add to change or whatever you want. So you need to explore like these things. I would suggest like don't go explore everything, just basics like h1 h2. I will just say like what are the basic things. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. But the basic thing I wanted to say is like we will go through the basics, and you guys need to build on top of it. And what main thing is you don't need to memorize any of the things. Don't memorize anything. All right. Okay. I believe everyone have VS Code. So first thing you want to do is like just search for extension. So extension will be something like here. It will be extension. You can just search live server. Note it down or do it parallelly, whatever you feel right. So you just download this. I already downloaded. That's why it is not showing install. For you, it will show something like install here. Why we are using it, I will let you know in some moment. So after, after you just open a blank folder in your VS Code and just create a file called index.html. So index.html is the main page what web browsers load initially. So index.html is the main page which web browsers load initially, right? So let's go to this go with the structure first. So there's a shortcut in VS Code. You need to click on the exclamation mark and click on the tab, and it will autofill the boilerplate. Boilerplate in the sense these are like repetitive code. Like if I build this HTML, if you build this HTML, everyone will have the same structure. So these boilerplate code is auto generated. So what you need to do is exclamation mark and tab, right? Then these part we will come to this later. So these part we will come to this later. We'll just go start with the basics. We'll just start with the basics. So first thing here is doc type, and it is HTML. So basically what we are trying to convey here is like we are saying this document type is HTML. We are this is used by the browsers. It will understand this web pages consist of HTML. So this is repetitive, like in every HTML this needs to come. So you just need to repeat in every HTML. So basically this says this doc type is HTML. Also the basic HTML structure of coding is something will be like this. There will be some tag, and the tag will close with the slash I mean the slash mark. This is how basic HTML will work. For example, if you take any button or image, everything will consist of an opening tag and a closing tag. You can call it as opening tag and a closing tag, right? So after this is the first initial thing. After this, you need to create an HTML tag, or I will do it from the scratch. You can open a curly braces HTML, and you can close it. The VS Code automatically pre-fills the closing tag for me. This is how for you also it will do. So this is the top level. Okay. inside it, what there are a couple of things. One is head, one is body. So I will write first, then I will explain it. One is head, one is body. So so whatever data is inside the body, it will be rendered in the main page. Whatever you see in the browser, it will come inside this body only. So whatever you see, for example, you see a text, you see a image, you see a link, everything will come from this body only. Then you can ask why we use it. It is simply because it contains some metadata. For example, metadata means there are some things which browser needs to understand. For example, if you guys heard of like SEO, search engine optimization, like if you search for a website, there are, if you search Facebook, there will be multiple links, there will be 100 links, but the main I mean the official Facebook link will show on the top. That is optimized to show on the top. Whenever this keyword is searched, this link should show on the top. So those things are configured inside this head actually. So right now we are just covering the basics, so you don't need to worry on that part. So basically you can just think it of, it contains the title part. So title, so title, you can just give it as my first web page. You can just save it and just if you download that extension live server, to downloaded it, you after restarting, you will there will be icon here, click to run live server. If you click on it, it will start a live server, right? So you can see, I will move it here. You can see whatever I gave it in the title, it is coming here, my first web page. I will just change it to small, my first web page. So basically you can think head will contain the title, and apart from title it will contain some metadata. Those metadata we are not worrying about now. We are not going to dive deep into those now, but you can think it of, it will contain some metadata plus title where title shows in the here it will show. So one more thing I wanted to explain is the live server. So why we install this extension means, so if you don't have this extension, you need to manually go to the folder where this index.html is there, and you need to double click on it. I will show that part also how to do it. I'm stopping the live server now. So right now I've created this index.html where in the D folder, inside Sayur, inside the index.html, that is the route. So if I go to my file explorer, if I go to the D, I mean my D folder, if I go inside Sayur, if I go into Sayur, there I can see the index.html which I created. If you see, there is a image folder, there is a sample folder. I can see it in my normal Windows also. Image folder, sample folder, and index.html. If you don't have that extension, you need to open via like this. You need to double click on this. If you double click on it, it will ask where I need to open this. You can click on Google Chrome, then it will open here. So here also you can see that is what we did here earlier also. Those are the same thing. Okay. So but there is a flaw here, like whatever change we do here, we need to every time reload this page. So for example, if I add something in the body, for example, I'm adding some h1 here in the body, h1. For example, I'm adding some h1. Hello, I'm adding some h1 in the body. I will tell what is h1 if you don't know. I'm just going here, but it doesn't show here, right? I need to manually reload it, then only it shows here. So what live server does is it will track the changes in your index.html. Whenever there is a change you make, it will auto reload the web page. So it saves you some time, right? So that's why. So what you can do is you can just click on run live server. It will start the live server here, and you can just close it up. And you can ask me why, what is these things? So I can simply say this is the local host. So for example, your computer has a lot many ports, like 2000, 3000, 4000, and in there is a port called 5500. In that port, this index.html thing is running. But there are a lot of things. If we go inside the port, there are a lot of things to cover inside that. It will come under networking and etc etc. If you run a server also, it will run on a port. Why we are running on a port? That because a port allows you to communicate between one port to another port. That is the main thing. On a high level, that is what I'm going to say. A port allows you to communicate from one port to another. It accepts the communication from other endpoints also. So that is what port helps us to do. So this live server, what it does is it runs our index.html in the 5500 port. Right now you don't need to worry about that. You're not going to do anything regarding that. You just leave it as it is. We are just focusing on the HTML part, right? So until up now, like, anybody have the doubt on the setup or the extension or the any other thing? Any doubts? Any whatever doubt you can just ask. Are you guys hear anything? Hello. Any doubts for any other people? Like, you can just ask me. Nothing is wrong in there. Okay, I think most of you guys understood the thing. So we covered what is doc type and we covered what is HTML. HTML is nothing but everything, whatever you're building will go inside that HTML block only. This is the HTML block. So everything, whatever you build will go inside this HTML block, and inside those HTML block, there are a couple of things. That is what head and the body. Okay. Right now you will just delete whatever inside the body is. So we'll just focus on the head. We already talked about the head. Head will contain the metadata, and apart from metadata, it will contain the title. What is metadata? Why we use metadata? That we don't need to worry about it right now. On high level, it is used on SEO, search engine optimization, etc. So then we added the title and we just saw where the title shows. Then we come to the main part, which is the body. Okay. So right now there are many tags. For example, I'm going to this website and just going to this tag section. So there are multiple tags. So using these tags, you can just build a website. For example, I just showed you an H1. So if you click on this H1, if you read this, if you read this definition, the H1 to H6 elements represent 6 level of section headings. So this is basically section headings. So there are multiple things up until H1 to H6. Okay, what they are mentioning up to from starting from H1 to H6. So we can just explore H1. So the HTML structure will be opening tag and the closing tag. So inside this, what you will type? This is some random. This is my first HTML project. Okay, you just save it and just you go to your website and you can see your H1. This is a section heading. Well, this is the section heading. Okay, H1 is the highest section level and H6 is the lowest. This is the highest section level and H6 is the lowest. We can just experiment it out. We can just copy this, can just paste it out 6 times to just see H2, H4. Okay, you just change everything to H2. If I change H2 here, the VS Code helps me to automatically change the closing tag also. So I'm just changing this to H3. I'm changing this to H4. I'm changing this to H5. I'm changing this to H6. I'm just saving it. If you go to the website, you can see. So live, you can see how each tag, represents the web page, right? So this is kind of like plug and play only. Like, to learn HTML and CSS, like there is no theory on it. Like mostly you guys want to self learn and just go through all the tags, and you need to just put it out in the HTML and you just need to check how it looks like then you need to build on top of it, like what you need, what you don't need. Those are the things. So this H1 lets you build the subsections. This is the section headings. Okay, so this is the each level. This is the H1, H2, H3 up to H6, right? So next thing, we got an H1. Then we can attach an image. There is a image tag. Again, I can go to this tag section. You can read the image tag element embeds an image into the document. Document is our index.html. So you can just see the syntax here itself. I'll just show you here. So image tag. So right now what I said is every tag contains a starting tag and a closing tag. But I lied to you. there are some tags which doesn't contains end tag. That one example is image. Image doesn't contain any end tag. It will be single tag. But you need to specify one thing here, which is source. What is source? You can ask me. So this is an image tag, and it needs to render an image. So the source is the image URL. You can just read the definition also. The image URL, the attribute is mandatory for the image element. So this is called attributes. There are multiple attributes like ID, class, etc., etc. We'll go through it one by one. So this is the first thing. So what we need to do is like we need to give the root or URL for the image. So I already download one image, which is this image. Okay, I'm going to give the path to it so that it renders the image in my web page. This is my web page, right? So I'm going to give the path. So you can give slash. Slash is the root folder. For example, root in the sense where this is my index.html. In this layer, if you give slash, it will show all the available things here. For example, I have images folder, I have samples folder, I have index.html. You can just go to images and you can click on soda.jpg. So how I download this image? You can just go to any Unsplash. You can go to this website and download any free images from here. I just downloaded this image. You can just download this. Some images might be private, so you can just download the free ones. You can click on download, it will download. Once downloaded, what you need to do is you need to create a folder. Sorry. So how you will create a folder? You will click on this icon. It will prompt you. You can give some folder name. I've already have the images folder. That's why it is showing error. You can create a folder, and the downloaded image will be in your downloaded folder. You need to drag and drop the image. For example, I will show you an example. So this is my images folder I've created. I will delete this. Okay, I'll just show you from scratch. So this is my images folder. I will also delete this. So please do these things after the class so that you will get understanding. I'm just creating an images folder. I'm just opening it. I'm just going to my download section. I can see the downloaded image. I'm just dragging and dropping there. That's it. Simple as it is. Then you can rename the path if you want. I mean, rename the image name. I'm just renaming it to soda. Sorry. Then you downloaded the image. Then you gave the URL. Just save it and just go to your web page. If you see, there is an issue we face here. For example, the soda image is very, very big. I'm zooming out to 25%. If can you see the H1 got very, very small. If I zoom it to 100%, our soda is very, very, very much big. So this is not what we want, right? So this is where style comes in. So we built a building. I mean, we constructed a building or a structure. What structure we have built? We have built some simple structure as one text and one image, right? That is our building for now. But this is looking very awful. The image is very awful. It is showing very big. This is not how we want to show to our clients. So we need to just do some styling to it. We just need to change the image structure a bit. So for that, we will use the CSS. That is where we will use the CSS. Okay. So where you need to put the CSS, I mean the styling. So what you need to do is you need to come to the head, I mean the head section. There is a one more thing tag called style. You will type in a style and you will the style will be open. You just need to open it, and inside the style you need to give the styling for elements which you need. For example, I need to give styling to this image element. I will just type as image img, give a space and open a curly braces. So inside this I will write CSS. So I will show some sample CSS. So this is the sample CSS. For example, CSS will contain a key and a value. This is the key and this is the value. So this is the property in the sense I want to change the width. What is the value for the width? For example, I want to change the width to 250 pixels, right? So what you understood is like there are a couple of things. One is the property. There are multiple things apart from width. There is height, there is aspect ratio, etc., etc. but we are just focusing one by one, like how the structure of CSS works. So there will be a property name and there will be a value. So right now our goal is the image is very big. So we need to reduce the width and reduce the height. First we will reduce the width. Okay. Then we will just see how the image looks like. We will put the width to 200 pixel. We'll just save it. We'll just save it and we will go to a web page. So right now it got an very like it came to a structure which we expected. So if you understand which whatever I told you, we initially we constructed a building. Our building is a small building, so it just contain only one single what you can say, one single text. I mean H1 tag and one single image. Then the image looked very awful, so we wrote a style for it. That's it. This very simple thing we did. You can just do give height also. You can just give height as 200 pixel and just experiment it out and how it looks like. So it actually shrinked a bit, so we don't need height. We just width is enough. So width is basically the width of the image. That's it. So there are multiple things related to image CSS. So you don't need to remember any of the things. You don't need to remember for this image I need to give 200. You don't need to remember any of the things. Whatever you need at the moment, you can just, if you understand the concept, you can just do it. Right now I know the basics, so I know, like, if we reduce the width, the image will look good. That is the one thing. Okay, so apart from this image, we can have some tags called p tag, which is called paragraph. So inside the paragraph tag we can write some random things, random text, right? Also for this p tag we can give some styling. Okay, so how you will do it? So for example, for image we gave styling something like this. We chose the element name and open the bracket and gave some styling. Similarly, I will just show you the random text shows here. For example, if you want this background color to be red, I want this random text background color to be red. What you can do is you can just go to the style part and you select the p tag and just open it. So now you need to decide what I need to do. So you need to change the background color. So there is a key called background color. So if you just type the basic things, the VS Code will give you the suggestions. Click on the background color and it will give you a lot of suggestions. Right now what we can click something like this color. We will save it, right? Then if you come to this page, you can see the background color is turned to some like green, pale green or something like that. So this is how HTML and CSS like communicate. This is how it works. You will first construct the building inside the body. Whatever you need, you will just put one by one, one by one, one by one. After that, you will just give some CSS to it. Okay, this is the basic thing. Until up now, like, anybody have some doubt, I will show you some small project which I have done previously. I will just go through it. So until up now, anybody have doubt, like the structure, the CSS? Anybody have it? Anybody have any doubt?
So inline CSS is different.
Sorry.
Inline CSS.
Ah, so there are,
Like,
I mean, yeah. So there are many things related to CSS. Many things in the sense there are multiple ways to give CSS. For example, you can give it in the head as inside the style tag. There is second thing which he mentioned, inline CSS. Where we use inline CSS, for example, there are multiple p tags. I'm creating 4 p tags. I'm giving this as random text 2, random text 3, random text 4. For example, right now we are choosing p tag. So what HTML does is it will select all the p tags and it will give the background color to this. So if you go to the page, all the p tags will contain the background color as this pale green color. So in some scenario you don't want to do this. Okay, in some scenario you want custom things. For example, you want this p tag to be pale green, you want this p tag to be red color, you want this p tag to be black color or white color, whatever you want. So in the scenario there are a couple of things you can do. One thing is you can give the inline styling. Inline styling is You will write custom styling here itself, like this. Like this, you will give background color and you will give some brown. If you save it, this is what he said. Who was asked this question? Okay, found. So this is the one another way of giving style. Okay, that is what he asked. What is inline styling? Inline styling with is like this. You will this is the for image we gave source, right? So similar to that, for p tag, like all the tag we can give styling. So this is common thing. You can just give style to any of the tags. For example, for h1 also you can give the style tag. It will work wherever you want. So in this style tag, I chose background color to be brown. So this is called inline styling, right? This is called inline styling. So I will just write it here. This is called inline inline styling. Okay, this is one way of giving styling, and this is another way giving the styling inside the styling tag. I mean the styling HTML tag. There is third way of doing it. You can create a separate file and you can attach the separate file here. Like mostly it is similar, but I would suggest you need to follow this structure. If you follow the structure, if you want to create a separate CSS file and you need to move, for example, this is a very simple page. This is a simple ugly page which I'm just showing you. But in future you will build a larger page, right? Like those times the style will be grown actually. The number of lines for the style will be grown and it will be tough to maintain and handle. So in that scenario, what you will do is you will cut all the styling from here and you will create a separate file called index.css and you will put all the style in here and you will link the style page to style page here. So in that scenario, it will be simple if you just write something like this. If you write inline styling, it will be very tough. If you write inline styling, it is very tough to move to another file. It is tough to maintain. It will be very hard to read also. If you want to write multiple styles, if you want to write the width or if you want to give some extra styling, it will be tough to like maintain this file itself, and it will be hard to read for others. Right? This is how, like in the company, if you go to internship or to company also, you need to think it from this perspective. You are not the only one going to use this project or folder. Multiple people going to use this project. So how can I simplify things so that other people can understand this? For example, you can write a, this is a general advice actually. For example, if you write an underline of code, you just need not to think it from your perspective. Just need to think it from the future perspective also. For example, after 2 years after you left the company, there will be other new people will come and work on the code base. So on that time also they should be easily understand, like, okay, this underlines of code does these kind of things. So you need to think it from that perspective also. So easy maintainable and easy readable also. So in that scenario, inline styling is not easy maintainable and easy readable. So I would suggest always go with this thing. So you can ask me, if we go with this thing, then how can I give a, I mean like a particular style for a particular element? So that is where an important thing comes into the play, which is called class attribute. So what is class attribute? I will say class attribute is, uh, for example, there are 60 people in your class, but 60 people as their unique name, right? For example, there are two people look alike. There are twins, for example. How will you call them? How will you call them? If there are twins there, they will be very same to each other. How will you call them? They should have some name, right? For example, one person name is Surya. If you call them, then they will identify. Okay, he's calling me, and he should come forward, right? There should be some unique identifier to each people. That's why we have name. Why we have name is to call us. Or for example, if you lost in a crowd, if I call your name, you will come up, right? So that is what like usually we are doing here. What we are doing is we just giving some like unique identifiers. For example, this p tag class name is first p tag. I'm just giving a random name. You can give whatever you want. This is, you can think it of something like a, this is a name. Okay, you can use this name and write styling based on this. How you can do this? You can do something like this. You can remove this. So if you want to write a style for particular class, you need to keep dot represents class, then paste the class name. Our class name is what? Was p tag. Just expand it so that it will be clear. So then what you need to do, you need to open it. After opening it, what you need to do, you need to give the background color. In the scenario, we'll just keep on some random background color. Now I'm going to the web page. Now you can see only my first p tag has this color, right? So what basically saying to the HTML is, I'm just giving a name to the p tag that is called class first p tag. I'm just calling it in the CSS. I'm just giving it a background color. So similarly, what you can do is you can just click, you can just give some other class names to other p tags, but it should not be the same. For example, first one and third one should look same. Then I can just leave it as it is. I can give the same class name. Then second one and fourth one, if I want to change it to a different background color, I will change the class name. I will give it as second p tag, and I will just copy it and paste it to the fourth one. I'm just saving it. I'm just giving since it is a class, what you need to do, you need to keep dot. So then second paste, sorry, second p tag. Then open it. Then give background color. Then you can choose blue violet. Then save it. Now you can see first one and third one has some one color, and second one and fourth one has some color. So this is how you can write like custom styling. So initially, what you will do, you will just construct the building. The building is something like look something like this. Then you will design. For example, after building the building, you need to like come up with your own ideas or something like that. What I'm going to give the colors for this. What I'm going to give design for this. Then you can give some class name to it so that it will be unique. There are couple of ways doing it. One is directly giving the tag name. For example, p tag. Initially, what we did, we just gave the p tag here. If we give p tag here, it will apply to all the p tag, right? There is a second way of doing it, that is using class. So that is what we did here. So there are multiple things for example, this is a p tag. Then there is multiple things we can just give like font size or font weight. We can give font weight to bold, we can give. So if I give that, since there is a color, it is not showing properly. This removing it. So if you can see, these two things are not bold. I'm just zooming it out. So these two things are not in bold text, and but second one and fourth one is in bold. Since why? Because I gave the style as font weight to bold. So there are multiple attributes. You can't learn everything. You can't memorize everything. Don't do it, please. Whatever you want to do at the moment, you just learn it and do it. That's what I would suggest. You want to understand the basic. The main agenda of this class is to, you need to know how to give style to a particular element, and how to write a particular element. I mean, how to write a particular element and how to give a style to a particular element. If you know these two things, then rest of the things you can figure out when you're learning or doing. That is enough. You don't need to memorize any of the things, right? Then I would suggest, there are multiple things apart from p tag. What I wanted to show is there's one thing called a tag. A is hyperlink. So hyperlink is used to, okay, one more thing. So usually, up till when this class will happen, anybody can turn on the mic and just say, like, how much time this class will take, like usually 1 hour or 2 hour.
Usually 1 hour.
Usually 1 hour. I think we are already past, I think we are near 1 hour. So what I will do is I'll just introduce you to a tag. So a tag is called, there are multiple, that's what I'm saying, like this is a basic foundation for you, like how HTML and CSS works. So basically a tag is used, called as hyperlink. So if you hover this, there it will show the definition also. If an a element has an href attribute, then it represents a hyperlink. So I will delete these two things for now. So I'll delete these two things. I'll keep an a tag. I'm just giving Google. Google. If you click on this, you will if you click. So what I want to do is, if I click on this, if I click on this Google, okay, I think it is coming with this image. So we need to make some styling to put this image below. So right now we don't have time to do it. So I will just show it. So our goal is, if I click on Google, it should redirect me to the actual Google website. How to do it? How to attach a hyperlink to it? Hyperlink is nothing but an link actually. So there is one attribute called href. So inside href, you need to give some link that, whenever the user clicks on this text, where they need to go. Those link you need to give here. For example, https dot slash slash Google, sorry, google.com. So if you, so automatically it reloads, and if you see that it is showing differently now. There is an underline here, and if I hover on it, there is a, it is, the cursor is changing to a clickable thing. So if I click on this, it is redirecting, I mean redirecting to me to a different page. So this is how H tag, I mean A tag works. This is called hyperlink. You can give whatever link here. For example, you can give your LinkedIn profile here, and you can just show us, tell this is as a, this is my LinkedIn profile, etc., etc. And also you can, one more thing you can do is, like, you can just attach a different HTML page also. For example, I'll just show a small example. I will quickly wrap it up in 10 minutes. Don't worry. So I'm just creating a about page, about.html. So here what I'm just giving a, I'm just giving a random thing. This is a p tag. This is this is my about page. This is my about page. I'm just saving it here. So your task is to link this about page to here. So instead of Google, okay, this can be Google. I'll just create a new a tag. I'm just giving it as about us. Then I need to link the that HTML to this file. So this is called this. You can give either of two things. You can give direct internet link, HTTP link, or you can just give whatever is present inside your file. You can just give slash. Slash means it will give whatever present in your root folder. It will give. So right now we have samples folder, image folder. Click on sample. Inside it you have about HTML. Just save it. So if I click on the about, it should redirect me to the about HTML. This thing should be gone actually. So if I click on it, that is gone. So this is basic thing. So if I you can do whatever, you can do different types of things. You can build a separate profile kind of thing here, and just have a link here. If user clicks on it, you need to give the correct path. For example, if you don't give the correct path, it won't show you. If I click on that, it redirects me to the different HTML page. So this is the basic structure actually. So there are many tags. We can't cover it. We can't cover every tag in this class. I will just tell you what are the important tags. You can just go through it. Title we already saw on it. So there is one more thing called a table. So I will just copy this right now for time being. We already is running out of time. So I will just paste it here. But right now we don't have the style actually. So I think it won't show it. 1 second. So there are multiple, what you can say, there are multiple tags. You can just explore this MDN website. This is very good website. You can go through all the tags and you can plug and play around like what I'm doing right now. You can just copy the thing and paste it, and you can understand each thing. Okay, this is a table tag. Table tag is wrapped around another thing. I'll just remove this caption, which might confuse you. So this T8 is, I will show you as an example. So this T8 is basically this one. The what you can say, the column heading. T8 is what? Column heading. Okay. T8 is column heading. T body is whatever the content you want to show inside that. This might be confusing at the start. I am just showing it out. So I will just show here. So if you see, this is the table. Just focus on this. This is the table, and we have a T head. T head is opening here and closing here. Focus on this. T head is opening here and T head is closing here. Inside the T head, we are going to give the column name. Don't we are inside that we are going to give the column name. That is the item. That is the expenditure, right? Then we are going to populate the table. Donut is spent around 3,000, stationery 18,000, totals 21,000. So if you go through this, I mean, what you can say, if you go through this code after T8, T8 is what? That is the heading. So after the T body is basically like whatever you want inside the body. You can just remove this T foot also right now. T foot is nothing but the footer actually, the last thing. You can so T body is basically whatever the item you want to add inside the table. You need to give it here. For example, in under items, I need to add donut stationery. You can just add it something like this. For example, it will be each will be in a TR element. TR is a cell actually. If you hover on it, it will show the TR element represents a row of cells in a table. So nothing like it is very simple, I would say. So each element has its value. TD is nothing but the data, whatever data we need to put it out here. So I think I might confuse you. I because of the time being, I'm just rushing. I'm not explaining it slowly. I might confuse you. What I would suggest is you go through this table. What we can do is we can explore this in the next class. We can go through in detail in the next class. So I have one more thing. This project. Under this, I have this sample project to show you. So, so I can. So usually, you guys, how can I give the code to you? Is there any GitHub or something like that, or can I? I will send it in the Discord. Okay. So this is the proper structured one which I previously did it. So simply I will explain it and we will wrap the class. So you can just remove these things. Don't need to worry about the meta. So right now we have the HTML tag. Don't worry about these things also. So there's a top HTML tag. Inside the HTML tag, there is head, there is body. So first we will go through the head. Inside it, we gave the title as My Simple Web Page. So it is showing here My Simple Web Page, and then we gave the style, which we have talked about what is styling. So inside the body, what you are giving is there's one H1 element that is called the Welcome to My Web Page, and there is a p tag. Inside the p tag we are saying this is paragraph of text, and this is called a span is nothing but a part of text which you can wrap it around. For example, you can give this as a p also. It will work in the same manner, but span is nothing but if you want to give something inside a p tag or inside a text, if you want to give separate styling for particular text. For example, here we are giving a particular styling for this part of the text. So in those scenario, we will use span. So we will wrap the second text around the span so that we can give a class name to it, and just we can write a style to it. We are writing a style for highlight as background color yellow. So if we change this to red, then it will change to red. This is very basic thing. After that, I think these things you can explore. I think this is called unordered list. Unordered list means it will show something like this. Uh, Unordered list means it will show us this bullet point. If you change this to OL is called ordered list. Basically, if you see ordered list is what? It will be in an order 1, 2, 3. If you go to the web page, it will turn to 1, 2, 3. So this is the HTML is very basic thing. You can just plug and play around. UL is called unordered list. OL is called ordered list. So inside the unordered list, we need to give elements. What are the elements we need to show inside the unordered list? I'm giving 3 elements. So it is showing as bullet point. I'm just wrapping it around the UL. After that, I'm giving an A tag which we previously discussed. That is an hyperlink. If you click on this, it will go to a random website. You can give some random website here. So until up now, like anybody have some doubt? I think I'm a little bit confusing, or I'm rushing. We can give detailedly go through it in the next class. Maybe anyone have any doubts on the basically the goal of the class is to understand the HTML structure and CSS structure. You need to able to write a new HTML tag, and you need to able to give a separate styling to it. That's what we want to do it in this class. So you need to able to go through this website, and you need to able to give particular styling and need to understand each structure. For example, if you want to understand table, you can just go through it and just go through the CSS, and you will have some idea. Okay, this is T body. That means for all the T body, they are giving some styling as borders, collapse, or something like that. So just don't complicate yourself. Just learn the basic things. You don't want to remember everything. You just need to know the basic things. That is enough. After while building the projects, it is enough to learn whatever you need to know on that time. Anybody have any doubts until up now, like how the HTML works or how the CSS is connected or something like that? There will be some doubts, I guess. So please ask if there is any. Okay, I will. I think I will. I will go through once again. I will wrap the class. What we saw is why HTML and CSS, why where HTML and CSS used, and where is JavaScript used. Using the real world example, like showing the LinkedIn. JavaScript is used only for actions. HTML and CSS is something like a building and a styling to it. That is what we are doing here, right? So we are just building, constructing a building. We are having one H1 tag. We are having some P1. I mean P tag. P tag is called paragraph. Span is called span tag, basically. UL is called unordered list. Inside this unordered list, you can give some elements, so it will show up. So this is the building we built initially. After building, we are giving some styling. We are selecting all the body and giving some font family to it. We are giving some line height, margin, padding, and after that we are selecting the H1 tag. In the H1 tag, we are giving a color as navy. That is what it is shown here, the navy color. Then we are giving the span. For the span, we are giving some background color as red. So this is a very basic thing. You just try it out. I will just share this code. Yeah, let me know if there is any doubt, or else we can wrap. I think we rushed in the last 15 minutes a bit. Any doubts? Please feel free to ask. No doubts or doubt? Okay, I will stop recording. You can ask your doubt if there is anything.